Let's now talk about Jainism. It had 24 gurus called Tirthankars. The word Tirthankar means fort finder, that is, one who acts as a fort through the dark waters of life. The 24th and last one was Lord Mahavir. His disciples or apostles are called Ganadharas, which helped in the spread of Jainism. He wrote the sacred texts Purva, some of them have been unfortunately lost. He attained supreme knowledge called Keval Gyan and therefore became an Arihant. In Jainism, we have three Ratnas or the three Ratnas, three gems: right faith, right knowledge, right conduct. They also believe in five vows: ahimsa, that is non-violence; satya, truthfulness; astya or acharya, that means non-stealing; aparigraha, that means non-attachment, non-possession; and brahmacharya, that means celibacy. These are known as the five vrats. Those who follow it very staunchly are called mahavrats, and those who follow it mildly are called anuvrats. And today we have a global movement called the Anuvrat movement to help people understand, appreciate, and accept the tenets of Jainism. Jainism also has a central philosophy called Syadvad. Some people confuse it with Shayadvad, but it is Syadvad, and it means maybe. It is a probabilistic theory. That means you can never be certain about a certain thing. Whatever issue comes up, you have to multidimensionally analyze it from different angles, from different dimensions. This is therefore a theory of pluralism, what the Jains called Anekantavad. You have to have anek or multiple dimensions to an issue. In fact, they have a 7-mode prediction scale or Saptabhangi. So there are 7 modes of prediction, and P.C. Mahalanobis, the famous statistician of India, actually linked it with mathematical probability. Wow. The reason why this theory is also called dualistic philosophy is because Jains believe in jiva and ajiva. That means a soul and the soulless aspect. Every object, human beings have a soul, of course, but even stone or air molecules, they also have some amount of jiva, and therefore we should not hamper it, destroy it. And therefore they believe in transmigration of soul during rebirth, something which Buddhism does not believe. Buddhism also believes in rebirth, but not soulful, but soulless rebirth. And the Jains also believe in karma. But whereas Buddhism absolutely rejects the Varna system, the Jains accept the Varna system but reject the bad aspects of it. Jains also believe that the society initially is very good, people live long lives, there is no sin, there is virtue, and then through 6 periods, they ultimately degrade, ultimately sins in the society become very high and the quality of life deteriorates. And this is from the highest to the lowest, and then you have cycles. And each of these cycles are thousands of years. These are the Jain cosmic cycles. Another thing that I want to mention is that Jains believe in, not all Jains, but some very severe ones, fasting unto death, called Salekhana. In fact, Chandragupta Maurya, the famous king of India, is believed to have fasted unto death, Salekhana, because he became a Jain under the guidance of Bhadrabahu. So let me discuss about it. Let me discuss about the sects and schisms of Jainism. Now, in the 4th century BC, towards the end, when Chandragupta Maurya was the king, it is believed that a big flood happened in the Ganges plains, and at that time, what happened is that Bhadrabahu went along with his disciples to the Deccan, in a place called Shravan-Belagol in the Mysore region. And the people who stayed in Magad were under the leadership of Sthula Bhadra. So when Bhadrabahu came back, he did not accept some of the tenets of Sthula Bhadra. So Bhadrabahu and his disciples became Digambars because they wanted to stay naked and sky-clad and practice Jainism very austerely, whereas those who stayed back in Magad called themselves Shvetambars, that is white-clad. They wore white clothes and did not practice Jainism that austerely. Why do I say that? Because a lot of Shvetambars believe in idol worship. They are called Murti Pujaks. Some of them don't. And Shvetambars believe that you can live a normal life. Even if you attain Keval Gyan, you can have food, water, air, everything. But The Digambars believe that once you attain Keval Gyan, you cannot have food, water, anything, you don't require it. And Digambars believe that women cannot attain this Keval Gyan, whereas Shvetambars believe that women can. In fact, they believe the 19th Tirthankar was a woman. The Digambars also want to give up all their possessions. So, a very strong aparigraha aspect. Whereas the Shvetambars want to keep some specified possessions with them. So, from all this, you can understand that Digambars are really staunch, austere. It is difficult to follow Digambar Jainism as compared to Shvetambar Jainism. Now, what happened in 17th century in Agra is that you see that in Digambar Jains there is a guru called Bhattarakas. They are the gurus, just like you have gurus in every religion. But some people called Therapants emerged in what was known as the Therapant or Adhyatma movement of the 17th century, who rejected the authority of these Bhattarakas. And the ones who accepted the authority were called Bispants, that is, one who can attain salvation through 20 ways. And these people who rejected the authority of the Bhattarakas became known as the Therapants. So these are the two classifications within Digambars. Within Shvetambars, those who pray to the Murti or idol are called Murti Pujaks, and those who don't are of two categories, Sthanakvasi and Therapants. So this Therapant of Shvetambar is different from the Digambar Therapant. Now let's go for some religious texts. The religious texts of Jains are called Agamas. And for Shvetambar, and most of these Agamas are actually written in Ardhamagati, because that was the language which was followed at the time of Mahavir. That was the region in which Mahavir lived and Jainism flourished. So Shvetambars have some canonical texts, which are Angas, Upangas, Prakirnas, Cheta Sutras and Mula Sutras. The most famous Cheta Sutra is Kalpa Sutra, written by Bhadrabahu, one of the most important books in Jainism. Among the non-canonical texts, you have standalone books, just like in the case of Buddhism, there were standalone books. Here you have Yoga Shastra by Hemachandra. Hemachandra was a very famous court poet during the reign of Jayasimha Siddharaja. Jayasimha Siddharaja, who was a Solanki king. Then you have Kalakacharya Katha, another non-canonical text. Then you have Nijuttis or Niryuktis, and many non-canonical texts are there. So these were Shvetambars. Among Digambars say that we had the Purvas written by Mahavir himself. So you can compare Digambars with Heenyans, who are numerically not that much as compared to Shvetambars, and similarly Heenyans are numerically less compared to the Mahayans. And both Heenyans and Digambars believe, they propagate and they believe in the most original ideas of their guru, Buddha or Mahavir. So they say that Lord Mahavir wrote the Purvas, but a lot of them are lost. So we now believe in two important books written by the disciples. One is called Satkhand Agama or Karma Prabharita, and another one is Kasyap Ahuda or Kashyapa Prabharita. That's it. Let's discuss about Jain architecture. In Shravanbelagol in Mysore, we have the statue of Bahubali or Gomateshwar. Who was Bahubali or Gomateshwar? He was the son of Rishabhanand. Rishabhanand was the first Tirthankar. And this was built by Western Gangas. Then you have lots of Jain temples in Girnar, Paritan in Gujarat, and also in Mount Abu you have the Dilwara temples. You can understand that if you have idols, actually it's not that Digambars don't worship idols at all. Digambars worship idols which are also depicting Lord Mahavir without any clothes, whereas Shvetambars, either Lord Mahavir has clothes or it is white in color and has all jewelry and everything. Okay? But not all Shvetambars worship idols. Also, let's go back. Also, you have Ellora caves, because Ellora has Hindu, Jain, Buddhist, all. Then you have the Udaygiri and Khandagiri caves. which were built specifically for Jains by King Kharavela of Kalinga, and it has the Hathigumpha inscription. So just like Buddhists, the Jains also had royal patronage. I have discussed about King Kharavela of Kalinga, Chandragupta Maurya himself. Then the Solankis, such as the Jaisim Siddharaja, and also Amogvarsh, the famous Rashtrakuta king. He patronized Jainism, who was a famous Jain scholar. So a lot of things can actually be discussed, but I think this much summarizes most of Jainism. Compare Jainism and Buddhism and understand the points for yourself. Thank you.